Hi Shiva, welcome to once again the Quest. We started a few months ago, this similar interview. So, first question that I have on behalf of the audience is, how has been the life before and after you cleared your CMA, especially being as a graduate, you cleared it.
So it has been a wonderful journey after CMA. Definitely, that is one thing I have want to share. And life is change for me. For example, that before CMA, I was very reluctant to talk. Also, or that confidence was not within me. So after clearing CMA, it's not just like having something learned from the textbook contest, but also as an individual, also you are able to get that courage or confident when you speak to others also, because you are much more aware about the information and the knowledge you have. So life definitely has changed after getting into CMA. And also the thing is, when you sit for a job interview or a placement anywhere in your life at any period, so the people actually, so you will be competing with others, right? So whether they will be same like your BCom or your MBA, or but what extra that you put it in your life, in your resume, that is what that matters. You can easily compete with others when you have a degree such as CMA. So that adds a value very much when you actually go in front of interview and you sit in with the experienced people in front of you. So that is one good thing or takeaway from CMA. That's what I realize as of now.
Great, great. So, little bit on the same question. Now that you are pursuing your MBA in operations management, right? So, uh, one question related to your family background. Now, what I observed that many aspirants for any professional course, including CMA, they come from family background which is already into a business.
Mhm.
How do you think that CMA is really helpful? Is it really helpful, first of all, from a perspective point of view?
Yeah, the fact that we majority of us come from a family background or a family business is that we have to
Right.
accept only. But like certificates like CMA or maybe like CAPA or CFA, whatever you say, so this are actually, when we say this degree, we actually call them professional degrees, right? So that
Absolutely.
professionalism is what you can add on when you get into these degrees. So for me, coming from a family business, so the things where it should be like structured way that all can be added when you go through the CMA and CFA or whatever the courses are.
Right.
So when it comes to costing and all, maybe you are not uh, doing the calculations, or maybe you're not able to think in a more professional way when you actually get into these courses. So that is one thing actually uh, I would suggest. If you are having a family business also, then get into these courses like this. There is a big advantage that I would suggest more.
Okay. So, continuing on the same family business background, one observation what I have seen most of the aspirants for just take CMA as an example, they feel a lot of pressure, on themselves because they have to match, their siblings or parents who
Correct.
have set up a particular, already an established business, which is years of hard work that has gone in. Irrespective of the size of the business, anyone will be, scared at your age to get into the shoes, and it's irreplaceable whatever they put in. How do you, manage that when you are studying? After you complete, that's a different ball game actually. But when you're studying, is this something that was always back in your mind?
That is definitely a yes for everyone who comes from a family business, because you always have that pressure from, well, it's not
Right.
like directly said to you, but you realize that there is a pressure always, because whether it your siblings or your father, so you definitely think, and everyone actually expects from you that you should be a step ahead from them, right?
True.
So that is one thing definitely we all actually who come from, at least I'm talking about the family business. So that is one thing I would surely say, yes, that is a pressure on that. But you can actually take it in a positive way also, because of that you at least start to go into different fields and you try to get as many knowledge from different degrees also, like for example CMA also, or maybe any other degree also. So that pressure in a way is actually if you take it in a positive way, that is a brilliant way that I would suggest. So that
Sure.
is.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Because I I saw that many people self-inflict pressure, even if someone is not asking you to get compared with your parent or sibling, but it will still happen that on your own it just comes up. And if you use it for the positive, I agree. But generally, I've seen that people are unable to cope with this pressure. It's a self-inflicted pressure. I start comparing myself with my sibling, parent. Even if they didn't say anything, they'll try to support as much as they can. It's obvious. It's not just money, but they'll also give you a shoulder, anything that you require. Still, one observation that is common is this pressure takes too much, and students are unable to even go and attend the exam. What would you suggest to similar of your category only? I'm not talking about elderly people or anyone else.
So one thing first I want to say is that if you have that interest and that fire in your belly, then definitely anything is possible. But if that is not there, then nothing can be done. That is for sure. But yes, taking unnecessary of pressure, I don't think so. It's very necessary. Maybe just you can accept the fact that yeah, we belong to that certain category. But yeah, but you can do like you should have that positive mindset to understand it and proceed the way you want. So that's what I can say.
Right. So you mentioned about fire in the belly. What do you need to do? You need to take a matchstick and light it and eat it. What do you really ignite that spark? Because that is something which I keep trying to ignite. You know that very well, and keep it the same with me also. So as a student, how did you actually maintain that fire in the belly?
When you actually grow to a certain stage, you realize that uh, one fine day you will be on your toes only. That's for sure.
Very true.
So if yeah, that is the fact that we have to accept. So in that stage, if you don't have anything in your hand, then there's no point actually so discussing. So that is when we realize that yeah, something as an individual, even though you have backups and all in your hand, but but you personally we want to have some knowledge or insights and all. So that actually uh, is there in everyone, I guess, because at
Right.
one stage they will realize, even though you have everything in your hand, but that is one thing that we have to accept.
No, you sound very spiritual actually. I felt like I'm
So
speaking to
you are
someone who is
amazed.
elder to me and has seen lot more life. No, it is true actually
No,
because
no, no.
what you said is perfect that eventually each one of us, even if you have everyone around, even if you have a huge bank balance, assets, wealth, you have hundreds of people, part of your team, you're still alone actually. So there's nothing wrong about it, but if you take it positively, it makes a huge difference. So I totally underline that the point what you mentioned. So thanks for sharing that. So coming back to more related to the CMA questions. So I'll trouble you a little more of the specific questions that what I have seen from a student's point of view. The daily preparation. Last time also when we spoke in the quest, you mentioned how to handle the distractions and all that. So what really requires daily for someone to keep in line with that preparation to achieve the goal? Example, a CMA.
I totally agree that in this generation you have lots of distractions than the previous generation. That is the fact we have to accept. But my routine, if you talk about, would be you don't require that much of like uh, I mean, like 6 or 7 hours per day for the preparation for CMA. That's not required at all. Because if you are really studying for at least 2 or like a couple of hours or 3 hours, that's sufficient actually to clear an exam that like CMA. So if you are full focused and you really want to clear, then that is sufficient enough. That is one thing I would tell. So like
Right.
the distractions such as like social media and that all will be there, but it is you who have to decide that what is more important to you. So if you are going with that crowd, then definitely then you are not meant for this course. You actually, it's not like you are left behind the others. You are not into that social media and all those things. But yeah, you as a person, you have to select which is more important to you. You can also enjoy your life with that also. It's not a boring life, to be very frank. So that is what I would say. What that's it.
So if I ask, two or three specific qualities that you feel that you had to enhance upon or work upon to become a qualified CMA, especially being, during your graduation days at that young age. So, what will be those two, three qualities? You did mention about fire in the belly. Anything else that you feel?
As in like if I have to suggest few habits if you want, then definitely personally when I actually was in UG or after that also, so I have a habit of reading the news actually a lot, especially
Yeah,
the finance domain news. So that actually excites me also, and there is a curiosity why this happens. For example, if the Sensex is going up. So what is the reason behind that? Because you never know. There are several factors, as you learned in marketing also, pestle analysis, like political, economical, everything has an impact on your stock market.
right.
So that curiosity, if you have, then definitely go through the news every day, get to learn and ask yourself why that is happening and all. So if that is there, then definitely you will start liking the subject also, and you will more be focused on your career also. That's what one of my suggestion would be.
Super, super. Yeah, business is that is something which I guess every human on earth should really be in touch with. What I've also observed, just to add to your point, is I am not belonging to finance. Generally, this can happen for most of the students who do not come from any commerce or finance based courses. They always tend to feel that no, finance is not for me. Finance
Mm.
is, according to me, it's pure number. What
Yeah,
you are
absolutely.
saying is true that whether it is Sensex or what is happening in the industry, it's always good to be in touch with it. Otherwise, we will be left behind. We'll not even know what has happened. And suddenly, if I face an interview or tomorrow in my own business, if I am facing a vendor or a customer, I really don't know what to speak because I'm not at all, I'm completely by the book. And the
Mm.
books do not really help beyond the exam.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
being in touch with industry, being in touch with business, it's imperative for anyone. And markets, I know in India, we really don't look forward towards investing into markets, but it will eventually change. It's already happened last year during pandemic. The number of trading and demat accounts have significantly increased in the country. So
Yeah.
even if you are not investing, tomorrow it can happen for your business that you might be going for an IPO.
Yeah.
So always having that mindset definitely adds value to your thought process. So good point that you mentioned. Again, specific questions to CMA. How to prepare and handle. I'll still talk on the preparation side, then we'll get to a little bit on exams. Preparation for MCQs and preparation for essays.
Uh, MCQs, if you talk about, it's very one kind of, I can say, like tricky actually. So you are confined with four options. That is the fact. But if you want to play smartly and you want to save some time, you can start neglecting which options are not first of all correct, because at least if you are left with like 10 minutes, or you have like in 10 minutes you have to complete questions or more than that. So one thing there you can do smartly do is you can start eliminating the wrong answers. At least there is a probability of 50% of getting correct or not. So in that way, in MCQ especially, you can do that one thing. Also, while attending MCQs, if you start with the question one, if you feel that it's not going to be solved from your side, then skip it and go to the second question.
Right.
Majority of us will actually spend much more than what is required to that specific questions, because
Right.
the beginning of the 10 questions will be the actually the main important phase for your exam, actually, because that is the phase where that confidence level is built. If it comes, you never know that whether it will be easy ones or difficult ones, right? So if you find easy, then obviously okay, but if you find something difficult in that first 10 questions, that confidence level is lost. So don't worry, because you have another questions, right? After 10 questions, right? So you just keep those questions and maybe come back later once you go through that, when you start building a confidence and all. So that is one thing I would suggest for MCQs.
Sure.
Essays, in short, if I have to say that, until and unless you are not clear with the concepts, you definitely can't attend the essays part. So essay, you really have to go through the concepts very well, and you start practicing few essay questions before the exams. You shouldn't think like, yeah, at that time I would be able to solve, because it's just an essay, right? So better you start practicing few essays so that you don't find it difficult at that time. So that is what I would say for that.
So in essays, what sort of questions you experienced in both part one and part two when you cleared?
Uh, I actually in one of the essay, I actually had some calculations and all. It's more of logical also, and maybe few numericals also there.
So you didn't feel like you should skip your essay preparation. So you're saying that as a student, everyone should focus and practice essays itself. Don't rely only on MCQs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because even when I gave my first attempt, I was very reluctant to go through the essays, because I had a thought process that, yeah, at the end of the day, it's essay, right? If you are clear with the concepts, so you can just go and apply those concepts and you can solve the questions. But in reality, when that essay appears in the screen at that time, you are completely blank also, and you are not able to connect that. So it's
Right.
better that you start preparing prior to that.
Sure. So approximately how many months of preparation, if you take 2 to 3 hours on an average per day, per part, that you feel that normally it should be required?
For me, it took around like 4 months around for each part. So it depends upon every individual. So 4 months before you give your exams, at least you need 4 complete full months of preparation. In the saying that every day you take around 2 to 3 hours of study. So if that you follow really, if you study for like 2 or 3 hours concentrately, then I think there is sufficient enough. Maybe
So
couple
when
of
you
months in the, yeah.
right, so when you say 2 to 3 hours on an average per day, is it apart from the classes or it's including?
No. That is individual I'm talking about, because you can't only rely on the classes what is being taught. So that
Right.
is about like individually you should at least give 2 to 3
Sure.
hours.
Right. And how much do you feel that the time that one can save in MCQs, which will again get added into the essays? Any idea that did you have any time or it was exactly 3 hours?
Around 5 minutes I had in one of the part. So if you plan it well, smartly, if you solve, because questions, you won't require to actually solve the questions entirely. That is one. That is where smartness of you comes, right? So in that you can save a couple of minutes also. You can just neglect those options and you can directly go on. So that is where you
Yeah.
can save time and you can utilize in your essay part.
Part one, I remember when you were asking a lot of questions related to our favorite topic, absorption versus variable costing. I remember
Yeah.
you were creating your own, paper and pen examples rather than looking at the material and putting it on WhatsApp, at that time and asking me that question, solve this, what next? Whether it is absorption costing, variable costing, year one, year two, where the profit will be higher or operating income will be higher or less. So I felt the involvement what happened from part one was obviously little more compared to what I could see on the part two. Maybe because of corporate finance, which generally people get scared. So
Mm.
uh, I don't know if it really scared you, but did it really scare any of the chapters in part one or part two?
Corporate finance actually that was my one of the favorite subject also. As of now, also if I go through that materials, since I'm from science background, that all the calculations and all, so that excites me towards this corporate finance. But yes, as you also know, like the theory subjects, I mean the theory chapters, that is what I like. But yeah, that is, you can't neglect those also, because that is a scoring subject, a scoring chapter for you also.
Right. Yeah. Because I what I felt is um, it is that only for those students who come from a mathematics background, they might not be completely from a science, engineering, and all that. I'm saying specifically, do they only can really clear this? What do you feel? I know you and I are from a mathematics background, but do you really feel that this is a course which cannot be
I don't think so that it's only meant for your engineering background or science background students, but it's more of like logical reason. If you want to say, then it's more of logical. If you have that logical or reasoning part, then definitely like it doesn't matter whether you are from science or commerce or anything. So yeah, but then also there are some perks, because you can save maybe the time when it comes to like calculation and all. But the calculation part, they don't I mean, in the exam they won't ask you about long calculations like calculus and all. It's more of your
right
logical thinking only. So it doesn't matter whether you come from commerce or science.
related to that only? I can, someone develop their logical thought process.
To be that is a good question, but yeah, if you talk about like in simple, or I mean your in daily day-to-day life, then you should ask why, what, which, that all that W and H words actually. If you start asking in applying in your day-to-day life, then you will start getting some answers to that. Then you again will ask some questions. So in that way, that's what I think. But yeah, in that way you can increase your logical process. You start thinking actually when a statement is given to you, or when you go through some articles and all. So you start analyzing it. So that is the way where you can maybe enhance your logical reasoning. That's my point of view.
Right. So I'll, summarize the key points that you have mentioned in the past few minutes. One, as a student, you develop an inquisitiveness, and to retain the fire in the belly, reading about business, industry, markets is one thing rather than just going through the books. So that you're always in line with the real life rather than just sticking to books. Second important point, what you mentioned, uh, is you don't need to really resign yourself from the world, including social media. You just know how to be smart of when you are attentive to your social media. Please party, please be on the social media. But when you are in books, that's everything actually should be kept aside. After you clearing your CMA, my question is, how much is the expectations that have been built around you now, and your family, friends?
Yeah, that is as you clear one stage, their expectations they expect more than just 1 degree. They will expect some more also. That is one thing for sure. That happens in everyone's family. But yeah, they are actually really proud of that about my qualification. And they even actually want to continue this progress even further. Also, that is what they encourage for me and in my family. So that is same with every individual in their respective families.
Right. So, uh, thanks Shiva for really giving a lot of insights because many candidates of uh, your age and much elder to you are aspiring to become a CMA or any professional for that matter. And it's our endeavor from a C2C point of view, seeing how we can transform lives because that's our motto actually. And you are one of that example for the better because if we try to bring in positivity, positivity attracts automatically the positive things in life. Anything else before we end this quest?
Mm. I would actually share recently because of that internship which is required in our college also. So I
Sure.
recently have applied at one place. They simply said to me on the face only, since you are because you are a CMA, we directly have recruited you. We are interested in your. They
Wow.
have literally say that since you have attached your CMA result actually with that, that is the reason I'm calling you today. Actually, it's straight away
Excellent.
because that is where you actually are unique from others, right? So that is one thing I would suggest all youngsters also at my age that you start as you said like after 12th only you start because you don't require it's a smart way also within 1 year if you can clear in within 1 year, right? So start early as possible because later on you can add few more qualifications to that also. So that is one thing I would tell, and it's a wonderful
Wow.
journey for me. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually because in that civilizations, it's a proud moment.
Yeah.
Even as a professional, as an individual, and definitely as a teacher, it's a proud moment when you really see not just qualifying, but you see the value in these things.
Yeah.
Any qualification, CMA, obviously, I will obviously push people to get in, like you rightly said. The earlier, the better. There's nothing, delayed. Whenever you start, it's always the best that can happen in life. Taking it forward, crossing the line is the key in life. There's nothing, stopping us. Making an attempt is the key in life. Those who are, at least going and appearing for the exam are more important, and obviously they have a chance to qualify and clear than those who are waiting in. I always say this: war battles are won by those who are entering the war field, not those people who are sitting and watching as an audience. Actually, so you are now seeing that it's a huge, lengthy battle that you have ahead. You are just 2021, and there's so much that life is there to teach us. So all the best for each and every step of your life. As a CMA, it's a huge responsibility that you have now on your shoulders to take it forward. And it is never easy, but it is always fun because that responsibility only gives us everything in this world. So uh, please take as many courses as you can. And that's how the role models are always made in this world. We are never born great, but we grow great because of the things that we actually make it happen. Not to prove it for someone, but for our own self actually. So all the best and congratulations on your getting into your internship without having facing much of hassles, unlike the rest of the people. So any last word of advice apart from whatever you suggested?
Yeah, like thank you for getting me on the board, and it's privilege to get back and speak to you. It's like almost more than a year, I guess so. So it's
Yes,
very. Uh, I'm very happy to see you after 1 year. Actually, to be very frank, to connect also.
likewise.
Yes, sir. So you really are doing a great job, sir. Because as the word like C2C, classroom to corporate, the word emphasize. So because at that stage, people aren't aware of about their careers in that early age. So that is where you can pitch in, and you are doing a very great job. Actually, I would appreciate that. So looking
Thank you.
forward.
It's basically that the parents' efforts and the students' aspirations is what any teacher responsibility is to bridge those expectations and the efforts. So my role, and there are millions of such teachers across the world who are striving to make it happen, not because we couldn't, because we've already done that, and there's something satisfaction when someone else actually, has gone to it. Now you know when you are in this side of the ship where you always want someone else also to, get into this. It's really wonderful actually. And it's not business, it's much more than any business in this world. Making a leader is a gift. And I truly, what has happened with me by chance, now I made it by choice. So, and I would always suggest that someday each one should realize that there is a teacher in you. That's how it happened with me. So we would, definitely would want you to someday, spend some time, whether you are in India or Germany, and maybe a guest lecture when you are free on any of your topics. So we look forward for more of these conversations. So thanks once again, and all the best for each of your steps that you are taking up in life. Please convey my regards to your parents.
Sure,
Uh,
sir, sure.
and enjoy every step.